visit YouTube. This is What Penguin, and I'm gonna try something different from now on because I think I prefer showing and talking about than just talking and not showing. I'm gonna try something different, and let's do something for Halloween, aka how horror works in different ways by examining two games, PT and Five Nights at Freddy's. Disclaimer, I'm not a video game critic. I don't own PT. I don't have a PlayStation 4. And I do own Five Nights at Freddy's. That said, I will try to remain as neutral as possible while making this review. On August 2014, two of horror gaming's most talked about releases were unleashed on the world, and no one was really ready for it and for the tension that came along with it. First came Five Nights at Freddy's, a deceptively simple game in which you play a night shift security guard for a children's pizza place. Isn't that creepy already? And where the animatronics have acquired certain murderous quirks. The point of the game is to survive the eponymous Five Nights while managing a very limited supply of power and watching and keeping the doors open and closed so the aforementioned robots don't claim another victim. The player is completely defenseless in this game, as is in the next game, PT, released later for the PS4. This entire game, PT, was subject to a lot of speculation. There was nothing like it. And you take the role of a nameless protagonist who is stuck in a seemingly ordinary home that loops around a very specific hallway in which every passage and every loop, the disturbing events start to reveal this horrifying series of events that culminate in the now infamous reveal of the upcoming Silent Hills. If you haven't seen my previous videos video on the Silent Hill franchise, you know I'm a big fan of the series. So to make this video, I had to take off my nostalgia goggle and examine the evidence at hand, especially since I already played Five Nights at Freddy's. And lots of people ask, who is the scariest game? Is it PT? Is it Five Nights? I'd say, and again, no nostalgia goggles, but I would say PT wins by a small margin because both games are incredibly good at what they're meant to do, build tension. Now I'm going to define very quickly and very briefly what tension means refers to the game and to the viewer who interacts with the medium. Tension is one of the most essential works and essential elements in a work of horror, as tension begets dread and, excuse for the noise in the background, dread and fear of the unknown. The main purpose of horror is to trick the brain, more specifically the primitive or lizard area of the brain that deals with the flight and fight response, to build up the tension, the adrenaline, and catch the viewer off guard and scare them. Creators can do this in two ways: jump scares, a quick and unexpected trigger that causes the titular jump and becomes visible. The threat becomes visible and the viewer reacts accordingly. Or by building atmosphere. Building an atmosphere, a sense that gradually becomes so unnerving and creepy that the viewer is gripping their seat, waiting for the jump scare, waiting for that event, the triggering event, and get it over. The viewer is then given circumstances that limit their defenses against the threat, basically building this sense of hopelessness. A truly effective horror creation uses both elements to create a memorable experience of fear. And what's more, in the case of produced media like videos, video games, movies, books, there's an added and unspoken condition that the product must have replay value, even after the big twist is revealed. This is where, like I said, PT wins by a margin, a small margin, against Five Nights at Freddy's. But both have replayability even after the player beats the game. So let's start with Five Nights at Freddy's. What makes Five Nights at Freddy's so effective in horror is that it is unnerving, that the creator deliberately invokes a concept called the uncanny valley. This is a complex function of the brain in response to something that looks so human-like, looks human-like, feels human-like, reacts human-like. It's so close to it, but the viewer knows it's not human, so it becomes repulsed by it. There is a scale, links down below, in which a corpse becomes less terrifying than a robot or a creature that has hit the uncanny valley. This is why zombies are regarded as scary, not just in the numbers, but the fact that they're moving like they're living, but they're not living. It's a human nature. In this case, it harkens back to the fear of the animatronics that most people have, as you've seen in the old Chuck E. Cheese's or in Disney attractions or in amusement parks. The atmosphere, along with the fact that whole place is breaking down, that you have limited power, is very jarring. It's so quiet that all you hear are the emergency jingles of the creatures, or I mean animatronics, moving around and when they get there. And of course, you're gonna both learn to fear the end song that Freddy Fazbear plays and that horrible screech. That game, I must admit, if you feel like inflicting some pain in your eardrums, go play with headphones. But it's really good. You catch the ends. There's also little things around the place that basically show the player just how deep this mystery goes. I'm not going to reveal anything, and I no spoilers, but if you are going to play Five Nights at Freddy's, I would recommend you go ahead and explore it. Just be careful of one particular poster because it will be an instant kill. Now let's talk about PT. Again, I haven't played this game, and I wish I could for purposes of review, but I'm terrified of it. PT, like Five Nights at Freddy's, relies on a lot of simplicity. It is a minimal game. You just walk. You don't even have a tablet or something to defend yourself. You just walk. You're completely helpless against the threats that come along in this game. And this is something that lots of people really liked. Both games are incredibly simple and don't use over hyped and over exposed mechanics to make a good game. Now, this game takes what makes Five Freddy's so terrifying and ramps it up because it plays in the fear. After that first scare, you know you're being followed. You know you're being followed by this thing, Lisa. All you can do is zoom and hope you didn't trigger her. Plus, it has puzzles that have no logic at times, or at least they function in a logic that evades most of the players. Not to say that players are anyway smart by it, but it does trick you into a lot of situations that you would feel threatened by. Specifically, I'm not gonna spoil, but there is a puzzle that involves you have to get killed by her. And you have to experience that first scare. And the game basically takes you into the mad of it all or releases you. Now, what makes marginally scarier than Five Nights at Freddy's is again the replay value. Five Nights at Freddy's is terrifying, but it can wear on your nerves. PT never really lets up on the atmosphere. Even when you think you've beaten it, it's still there. Again, this is my opinion. I also took off my nostalgic goggles because, in the end of the day, this is too early to say if it's like the other Silent Hills, and I'm kind of. But if you're looking for a quick game to build up your terror and really want to have fun with really fun characters, go play Five Nights at Freddy's. And this has been a Smart Penguin. Disclaimer, I am not sponsored or in any way. I wish you all a happy Halloween, and later I'll probably post a vlog about how are things going. Bye!